Hey, hello YouTube. Hello McTell. Hello Red Pill. This is Red Pill in the Wind. Let's see. First, we're gonna go and get an understanding of the reality of certain things. See, MGTOW, whatever laws that are coming out, the insanity that's going around, it's nothing more than 50 plus years of planning. Plus years of planning. Now, we're not going to talk about that yet. We're going to talk about this. I won. The reason I believe that I won is because I predicted everything that Iridium Kush and his friend and his compadres were going to do. I predicted the only thing that I didn't predict, which I should have predicted from history, is the losing side's desperation. This isn't the first time people like that have done something like this. This isn't the first time people like that have done something like this, using somebody's humor to try to discredit them. Put my face on the 12-foot hoe statue, 12-foot fat hoe statue. It's a nice touch, though. It's a nice touch. Superimpose my face on the fat hoe statue and try to put my name in different types of hairstyles. See, the thing is, what you don't understand is the understand the word coon. It isn't the first time somebody has used coon, a white person has used coon on a black man. The thing is, the definition has changed. You know, definition has changed. Now we're going to get into the historical aspect. See, the thing is, I'm not the first person to have humor, to use the discredit. So it means if I'm being seen as trying to be seen as the butt of the joke, who was the one that came before me? He was a lot more famous than me. He was a lot more famous than I was and more effective. Martin Luther King Jr. So I'm up there. So you're telling me that I'm up there with Martin Luther King Jr. That's an honor. That is an honor. I'm honored. I am deeply honored. From the bottom of my heart, I'm honored that you see me right there with Martin Luther King Jr. Because those people who did not agree with Martin Luther King, they used the same language. Martin Luther King, right? And they made fun of him, saying, "I had a dream. You had a dream. We all had a dream." Yes, that sound familiar? How you doing? So that means that I'm up there with Martin Luther King. I'm deeply honored. I must thank you. I must thank you, Karen Trueblood. I must thank you because you have basically said that I am of the legends, the likes of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. This whole entire week has shown your true colors. Has shown all of your true colors that are in that camp. Easton Hollis, how you doing today? Skibbity, oh, skibbity, dop, dop, no, no. How you doing today? But the question remains is, am I wrong? I'm doing all right. The question is, that remains for that camp is, am I wrong? All I want is for people to improve in their life. Look, I'm going to tell you this much. This house behind me is mine. It's going to, look here, to the younger generation, it's going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult. It is going to be hard. You're going to fall, but you have to be able to pick yourself back up and still maintain vigilance. Sometimes you got to remove yourself from a dangerous environment, from a dangerous and toxic environment. I want everybody to improve. Black, white, Asian. I want Latino, Mexican. It doesn't matter where you're from. I want everybody to improve. I believe everybody has the ability to improve their life. You're going to need help. The reason I am red pill in the win and not MGTOW in the win is because I had help. I had help. I didn't do this all by myself as Andrew Tate and freaking whatever the yada 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 said. Oh, this is all yada yada yada. I got this by myself. No, I didn't get it by myself. I'm gonna tell you. I'm just gonna tell you to you real. I'm gonna tell it to you real. I didn't do it by myself. And on the contrary belief, a lot of the people that said that they did it by themselves, they didn't really do it by themselves. They either A, had help, or B, waited for somebody to die. Which one is it? Either A, you had help, or B, you waited for somebody to die. That is the realest thing anybody has ever said. Oh, I busted my behind for 60 plus years. No, you waited for somebody to die, or you won't acknowledge the people that helped you. I'll acknowledge the people that helped me. My sister and her boyfriend. In the close circle. Just what it is. And with that help, I'm doing what I can to help my nephew. I'm telling my nephew, like, split some of the stuff in certain areas for survival. It's just what it is. I had help. I need to cut my grass. That'll happen eventually. That this smoker here, this here smoker, that cost $1,000, and I bought it a couple years ago. It's possible. It's just difficult, and you're gonna need help to get it done. You're gonna need help to get it done. It's just what it is. It's how the world is. You gotta find some people that you can trust. I'm not gonna, and in about 10 years, my advice isn't gonna be valid. I'm just gonna say it what it is. Your boomer grandfather, your boomer father, who says, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Hey there, buddy. No, you can't. It's physically impossible. There's no bootstraps involved. It's basically you need a shoulder to lean on. You need a shoulder to lean on. And you know how you develop even more wealth? After you're on your feet, you become that shoulder for the person that leaned on you. That's a different type of wealth. That's a wealth of character. A wealth of character will develop your wealth. You know, a wealth of character will propel your wealth. Most of these people in this circle, are a bit disingenuous. You know, just what it is. No matter what camp you support, is what most of the people in this circle are disingenuous. I won against Iridium Kush a long time ago during the Bleeding Edge Red Pill with Tico Trent, and Baron Yam, Billy the Goat, Cypher's Basement. I won. That is the sole reason as to why I won. Was because I was able to stand up against somebody else. It is what it is. Because I stood on 10 toes. The person got mad, spurted out, and stormed off the live stream. That's one of the reasons. That's the reason why he doesn't hop on people's live streams. And I'm the sole reason that he doesn't step on people's live streams. I'm the sole reason. The reason why he closed his comment section was because of me. Was because of me. If my channel goes off of YouTube, I almost guarantee you that he will open his comment section again. Or he won't, because he's got a whole nother host of people. You got a whole nother host of people that ain't afraid to challenge him. But how do we get to this point? How do we get to this divergent point? Well, the Department of Education and it was all by design. It was all by design. Put a couple corrupt figures. How you doing, Mouth of Gape 8? Put a couple corrupt figures at the top of the Department of Education. Had them siphoning a little bit of money. Next, they go into Congress and get elected to Congress and other places of the world, other places in the government, to basically add to discreditation of the Department of Education. Which brings us in today to where the Department of Education is in the process of being dissolved and left it up to the education of the states. Now, let me break this to you. It was a years in planning, bipartisan, Republican, Democratic, bipartisan. This is one of the reasons why why a lot of people should have been more careful on who they voted for on both sides. See, what you don't understand is the Department of Education it now has an excuse to be dissolved because it was basically been corrupt for years. It was supposed to level the playing field, which it never did. The Department of Education never did level the playing field. Now, what it really did was it removed the generals from the grunts in both black and white communities. Now, if you go to a public school and you score high on tests and score high on education, they want to separate the generals from the grunts. Hey, Department of Education government, you missed one. They don't want tough. They didn't want tough leaders. They didn't want strong leaders. They didn't want strong generals. They wanted generals under their control. Generals that did not have the ability to stand up to adversity. Generals that never basically got their behind whooped by the grunts. You missed one. See this scar? You missed one. And with that being said, Emperor Dion, I respect him because he's willing to look out for himself. Me, I thrive off of chaos. I enjoy chaos. As you've seen in my channel, chaos, but the chaos that I use is to improve people. Is to hopefully open their people's eyes on the misgivings of the people, at the top, the misdeeds of the people at the top. I'm gonna break this to you. The last president of the people was Jimmy Carter. The Habitat of Humanity, he swung a hammer for decades. He's been building houses. Like I said, some people's houses today were built by Jimmy Carter. It's just what it is. He swung the first hammer and he swung his last hammer years ago. And I'm going to say this. You need to understand that the Fairness Act, the Press Fairness Act, was repealed in 1989. But we're gonna go back, and we're gonna try to break down everything. In my eyes, we're gonna go back to the 1950s, and we're gonna try to break down 1950s, about 1949 when World War II ended. Well, supposedly ended for most countries. And what led this up? The Soviet Union. Big entity. Soviet Union sent PSYOPs. Both countries sent PSYOPs to each other. One of them fell quicker, and the other one's still in the process of falling. Now, that being said, there are some things that the American government could have done differently during that time. It should have never brought the CCP to the UN negotiation tables. Just that simple. Should have never brought China to the negotiation tables back in them days. To try to show them the blessings of capitalism. Look, first thing foremost, never trust anything that ends in ism. Never believe anything that ends in ism. Never put your sole investment in anything that ends in ism. In ism, entity, or Ism means that due to lack of education, you'll be saying, ism. Ism equals ism. Ism equals slavery. Due to lack of education. Never put your faith and trust in anybody that says that they are a legal leader in anything that ends in anity or because you're going to basically eventually put your sanity into it. Will leave you have you scratching your head saying just what it is. You put your sanity in yourself. You put your trust in yourself, and you basically control your fate. That and you're in the God of your choice. It doesn't matter if you worship Jesus, Allah, frickin' Buddha, or a water spigot. The sacred water spigot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you put it in technology. As long as you're able to see and do the right thing for humanity and yourself. Whether you believe it or not, your mother and father are part of yourself. I was raised with both my mother and my father in my life. Just what it is. I was raised with both my mother and father. See, I don't believe in the religious, whatever it is, sex, invited for sex, violence, or whatever. No, I don't agree with it. Each person has their beliefs. You know, as long as you are able to understand morality and understand when a person is not yet developed. It wouldn't surprise me that he was abused by his mother. It wouldn't surprise me that he was abused by his mother. It wouldn't surprise me nothing. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, his father didn't do anything. I'm going to assume that his father didn't do anything to stop it, or couldn't do anything to stop it. And that's the thing. Fast forward, the collapse of the Soviet Union, you still have people with the ideals of the Soviet Union. Which again follows up with Iridium Kush. Yeah, follows up with Iridium Kush. And you have people that believe in the ideas who have three letters, three repeats of the 11th letter of the alphabet. Let me say this. You got people with beliefs and ideals that have three repeats of the 11th letter of the alphabet. Riggs. I'm just doing my victory lap. Just doing my little victory lap. You have people that have the ideals of the people with three repeats of the 11th letter of the alphabet. And a certain type of brotherhood that has air in it and en that have stemmed from World War II. I thought my grandfather fought against them. Which makes me question the government. Yeah. Yeah, 3 of the 11th letter of the alphabet. Which makes me question the government. You have all these presidents that label people a terror organization, but they won't label somebody with 3 of the 11th letter of the alphabet a terrorist organization. I get asked. You should probably ask that question. You should probably ask your congressman that question, the president that question. Why isn't this organization a terrorist organization? I'll wait. Share ends the bell. You also got, in about 3 to 5 years, we're going to have a repeat of the Azov unit of the Ukrainian Azov unit in America. See, the thing is, what you don't understand is the Azov unit in Ukraine was founded by the organization that was supposed to be wiped out in World War II. Strange. That's weird. Really weird. Hey, look here, Nuremberg trials, the Geneva Convention, you missed a few. You missed a few. And I ain't afraid to say it. You missed a few. I can't go to certain parts of South America because of the influence of some people from 1930s Germany and the Civil War. I'll let you research that up. I prefer everybody to be on this chat to be a scholar. Be a scholar and search it up. Exactly. The NASA program, the Manhattan Project. Yeah. Also, there's a unit in Japan that was supposed to be a medical unit that did a lot of experiments. Some of the members are still alive. Well, some of the descendants are still alive. Exactly. They hired them after the war. How do you hire somebody after the war who commits atrocities? War crimes. Medical crimes against medicine. That's a good question. But fast forward, we're gonna try to narrow it down to why we have the problems we have today. You have the Soviet Union. About in the 1970s, 1980s. Remember those commercials? Duck and cover, duck and cover. With the turtle shell. With the fallout shelters growing up. Remember whenever school was a fallout shelter? Remember when just about everybody was digging holes? Von Braun. Remember when everybody was digging holes? Some of you, the older generation, remember when you were digging holes? When some families were digging holes, in case the Soviets dropped the bomb. All the way up into the 1990s. All the way up into the 1990s. Remember that? You remember that, right? You remember those days, right? Now the thing is, fast forward, like I said, over time, the Soviet Union began to lose steam, especially with the National Space Academy, whatever Space Academy or whatever, something to that nature, NASA. National Aeronautics and Space Academy. I'm not sure that's what NASA stands for, but I know it sometimes need another 6 astronauts or 7 astronauts. Yeah, exactly. It was a coping mechanism to make the peons feel like they were protecting themselves. You weren't protecting yourself. And nowadays we got people with, how you doing today? Nowadays you got people who are literally saving up money to buy a flight to Mars, a rocket ship to Mars. Like that's gonna do anything. So your children are gonna grow up weaker, in less gravity, and more oxygen deprived. Okay, we'll get about 2 or 3 generations for that one. Because Russia doesn't have an ionosphere, or a mesosphere, or a troposphere. It has nothing. Because Mars doesn't have an ionosphere, which basically is key for defending you from radiation from the sun. But hey, it's not like I know anything. We're gonna diverge. We're gonna try to diverge it a bit onto where it affects me. With all the psyops that both sides have sent, somewhere, some way, it was going to affect a family. With me and Kampf, and a few other people, somebody was going to take up that ideology. One or all of them ideologies. One or all of those ideologies. See, which brings us to a little bit today. To Iridium Kush. That man Adopt definitely got the Soviet ideology. He potentially got the Dixie ideology. The Dixieland Delight. The revolutionary Confederate ideology. He definitely got the socialist republic and the communistic republic ideology. And he potentially got the ideology of somebody from World War II. And the reason why those pictures have showed up on the internet of with my face superimposed on that 12-foot the 12-foot fat whore, and my face superimposed on a live stream with all those wild freaking hairstyles, with those eccentric hairstyles, is because they're losing. I didn't have to do this live stream. I just had to acknowledge the fact that I know they're losing. Because they have elevated me to the status of Martin Luther King. Some of you who are my day one subscribers remember when I said this: I can be touched. I'm just waiting for it. You know? I'm not bigger and bad or bigger and badder than anybody else. You know, I'm not this big bad person. I'm not hard to find. That was before I showed my face. And there's one more thing that I'd like to say. The wealth you acquire, it's not for you. It's for your children or whoever you pass it down to. Got a few nephews that that wasn't me, that was YouTube hiding the comments, you know. But I can pass it down to any young man who's just starting his life at 18. I can make sure that some young man has the ability to have a better chance than I do, and with better knowledge. What's the one thing that stops men from having a family? I could hope, you know. Basically, what it is like once I get this beast paid off, I can sit on it for a bit. And whatever young man wants to do, they can do whatever they want. They can sell it if they want, and then move elsewhere. Move on to greener pastures. That's the thing about an investment. That's the thing about an investment, you know, is that you can sell it and move on to greener pastures. It's called recouping. It's called recouping of funds. Dr. Dre, that's YouTube. You know what? I'm gonna show both. Okay. That's the thing about an investment. That's the thing about an investment, is that you can pass it on to somebody else. You can sell it and move on after you've basically recouped your losses. The sooner you pay it off, the sooner you can recuperate your losses, to then go on to greener pastures. Maybe just so happens by moving on to greener pastures, you can basically lease out the mineral rights. Wade, leasing out the mineral rights. Let me explain that. That's an interesting thing. You can lease out the mineral rights where somebody can dig on your land for either oil, gold, or whatever. Where you can have companies paying you to lease out your land for the mineral rights. Say, for instance, I paid this house off tomorrow, recuperated all my losses in about 5 years, decided to sell it and buy another property, and there's oil under. I could basically lease out the mineral rights to a company. Five-year contract. And they can negotiate. But the thing is like, the workers, I always want the workers to be paid. I always want the people who are working the mineral rights to get paid, you know? That's the thing about integrity. Okay, I get a cut. How much? What is the salary of your workers? What is the salary of your workers going to be? The thing is, I don't need that much. Just enough to pay the property taxes. I'll continue working. But I don't need that much. You know? I want the workers to be able to be able to start their lives, especially if they're young from the top to the bottom. Put it in the contract that the workers have to be able to live, have to be able to survive, not only survive but live. You know? That's the thing what a lot of people don't understand. It's like they have to live too. Like I said, pay the house off, sell it, get another place someplace else. But I figure this is the end of my victory lap. Y'all have a wonderful Saturday. I know I will, because I plan on resting. And and I'm honored to be of the likes of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Take care. Y'all have fun.